The boy appeared alone in the corral, ignored by everyone, standing before a wild horse no one had been able to ride. When he whispered, "I don't need a saddle or reins," some laughed. But the moment the horse lowered its head before him, the laughter died, hands began to tremble. Silence took over the place, and no one was prepared for what came next. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment where you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The car engine made a tired sound, then went quiet. "We're here, Lucas," his mother said. Her voice was soft, like it was covered in dust from the long drive. Lucas looked out the window. The town was small, just one main street with a few buildings. Beyond the buildings he saw fields of yellow grass that went on forever, touching big, gray mountains at the sky. The air was so quiet he could hear it. "Is this it?" he asked. "This is Painted Rock," she said. She tried to smile. "Oh, a fresh start." Their new home was a small apartment above the town's diner. The stairs creaked. The room smelled like old wood and fried food from downstairs. Lucas carried a box with his things. His most important thing was a worn sketch pad full of drawings. "I have to go, honey," his mother said, putting on her blue nurse's shirt. "My first shift at the hospital starts in 1 hour. Then I work at the diner after. There's food in the box by the sink. Be good." "I will," Lucas said. He watched her car leave. The silence in the apartment grew bigger. He took off his shoes. The cool floorboards felt real under his feet. It made the quiet feel less heavy. The next morning was his first day at Painted Rock Elementary School. His mom had washed his best shirt, but it was still faded and a little too big. A boy with red hair pointed at Lucas's sneakers. One had a small hole near the toe. "Did you walk here from another century?" the boy said. Some kids laughed. Lucas looked at his feet. He did not say anything. At lunch, he sat at the end of a long table by himself. He ate his sandwich slowly. He heard pieces of talk from other tables. "My dad got me new boots for the rodeo. We're going to Cheyenne for the weekend." Lucas finished his food. He felt like a ghost. No one saw him. He was just a new kid with old clothes. After school, he did not go back to the empty apartment. He walked. He walked past the last house, past a fence made of old wood. A sign on the fence said, "Broken Spur Ranch, keep out." Lucas did not go in. He just stood at the fence and looked. The land was huge. He saw brown cows like dots far away. He saw a dusty road leading to a big house and a red barn. And then, way out near the foot of the mountains, he saw movement. It was a horse. It was alone. It ran across the open field, not in a straight line, but in wide, joyful circles. Its mane and tail flew like flags. Then it stopped, head high, looking at the mountains. It was completely free. Lucas's breath caught in his chest. All the tight, lonely feelings from the day loosened. He sat down in the grass, his fingers digging into the earth. He watched until the horse vanished into the shadow of the trees. That night, his mother came home very late. She looked so tired. Her hands were clean from the hospital, but they shook a little as she put a loaf of bread on the table. "How was school, sweetie?" she asked. "It was okay," Lucas said. He wanted to tell her about the horse. He wanted to tell her about the hole in his shoe and the laughing. But he saw the dark circles under her eyes. He saw how hard she was working for their fresh start. "I made a friend," he lied, to make her smile. "A boy. He likes horses." "That's wonderful, Lucas," she said, and her smile was real. It was worth the lie. Later, in his room, he opened his sketch pad. Under the light of a small lamp, he began to draw. He drew the wide field. He drew the mighty mountains, and in the middle, he drew the horse, with legs stretched out, running forever. At the bottom of the page, in small letters, he wrote a name only he knew. Asterisk Spirit, asterisk. He did not tell anyone. The horse was his secret, his quiet place. Every day after school, he went to the fence. And every day, far away, the horse was there, running, or standing still, watching the boy as the boy watched him. One afternoon, as Lucas sat drawing, he heard a new sound, not the wind or the cows. It was the loud grumble of truck engines coming down the ranch road. He saw 2 dusty trucks. He saw men inside wearing cowboy hats. And in the back of one truck, he saw piles of coiled rope. They stopped near the big house. A tall man with a stern face got out. He pointed toward the mountains. toward the place where the wild horse ran. Lucas felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He pulled his knees to his chest. The men were talking, but he was too far away to hear the words. He did not need to hear them. He understood the pointing. He understood the ropes. They were talking about spirit. The next day after school, Lucas did not go straight to the fence. His feet took him into town instead, to the Painted Rock Diner. His mother was there working the afternoon shift. Maybe he could see her for a minute. Maybe the sound of people talking would shake the cold feeling from his stomach. He slipped into a booth at the back. His mother saw him and gave him a small glass of water with a smile before hurrying back to the kitchen. Two men in cowboy hats sat at the counter nearby. They were talking loud. "Hank Dawson is finally gonna do it," said the first man, stirring his coffee. "He's gonna catch that devil horse." The cold feeling in Lucas's stomach turned to ice. "About time," said the other man. "That blue roan's been a nuisance for years, chasing cattle, tearing fences. Hank says he's pure wild, worth a fortune if he can be broken." "Broken?" the first man laughed. "That horse won't be broken. He's from the old Thunderhead herd. They're made of mountain stone and mean spirit. My money says the horse breaks Hank first." "Hank's stubborn," the second man said. "He needs the money. That big rodeo in Cheyenne is offering a huge prize. A wild horse like that, if he could even get him in the chute, would draw crowds. Hank's thinking about his ranch." Lucas stared into his water glass. Asterisk spirit, devil horse, broken. The words buzzed in his head like angry flies. The bell on the diner door jingled. A girl walked in. She was about his age, maybe a little older. She had sun-bleached hair and a messy braid and boots that were scuffed and dirty. She marched right up to the counter, next to the two men. "Maya," one of the men said, "tell your dad to be careful with that wild one." The girl, Maya, crossed her arms. "He won't listen to me. I told him it's a bad idea. That horse isn't a devil. He's just scared. You'd be scared too if everyone wanted to trap you." "It's just a horse, kid," the man said. "You don't know anything," Maya said, her voice sharp. She turned and her green eyes landed on Lucas, sitting alone in the booth. She looked at him for a second, then looked away. She bought a bottle of soda and left, the door slamming shut behind her. Lucas's mother came over, wiping her hands on her apron. "You okay, honey? You look pale." "I'm okay," Lucas whispered. "That was Maya Dawson," his mother said softly. "Her dad owns the big ranch next to town, the Broken Spur. She's a sweet girl, but she's got a strong will. I heard them talking about some wild horse." She sighed. "I hope they're careful." Lucas could not sit still anymore. He mumbled a goodbye and left the diner. His feet knew where to go. He ran all the way to the fence line of the Broken Spur Ranch. He saw the trucks from yesterday parked near the big barn. He saw 3 cowboys, and he saw the tall, stern man from yesterday. He was shouting orders. This had to be Hank Dawson. "The trap is set in the high meadow," Hank said, his voice rough. "We push him down from the north with the trucks. He'll run right into the canyon corner. The fences are reinforced there. He won't have nowhere to go." One of the cowboys spat on the ground. "Boss, that horse is smarter than all of us put together. He knows those mountains better than we know this yard." "He's one horse, and we're men with machines," Hank said firmly. He pulled a red bandana from his pocket and wiped his forehead. "We do it tomorrow at first light." From around the side of the barn, Maya appeared. "Dad, don't." Hank turned, his face impatient. "Maya, not now. This is ranch business." "It's wrong," she said, standing her ground. "He's not hurting anything. He just wants to be free." "Freedom doesn't pay the bills," Hank said. His voice was quieter but harder. "That horse is worth more than all the beef in my south pasture. The rodeo prize money could fix the tractor. It could pay for a whole new roof. You'll understand when you're older." "I understand now," Maya insisted, her voice cracking. "You're going to scare him to death for money." Hank's jaw tightened. "The world isn't soft, Maya. You want this ranch to be here for you? This is how. Now go check on the calves." Maya stared at her father. Her eyes were bright with angry tears. She turned and ran toward the barn, not looking back. Hank watched her go. He shook his head and stuffed the red bandana back in his pocket. He looked tired. Then he turned back to his men. "Tomorrow, first light." Hidden in the tall grass by the fence, Lucas felt his heart pounding against his ribs. Asterisk tomorrow. Asterisk. They were going to trap Spirit tomorrow. He looked past the men toward the distant mountains. Somewhere up there, Spirit was running. not knowing that men with trucks and ropes were coming for him. Lucas's secret, quiet place was about to be destroyed. He did not move until long after the men left. He stayed until the sun began to dip behind the Thunderhead Mountains, painting the sky in colors of fire. He made a promise to himself, a silent promise in the quiet evening. He would be there tomorrow. He would watch. He did not know what he could do, but he had to be there. For the horse that no one understood, for the horse that was free. The sky was still dark gray when Lucas crept out of the apartment. His mother was sleeping after her night shift. He left a note saying he was going for a walk. He ran all the way to the ranch fence. He hid in the same spot in the tall grass. His heart was a drum in his ears. For hours, nothing happened. Then, as the sun turned the sky pink, he heard it. The far-off roar of truck engines, the shouting of men. Then, a sound that made his blood freeze, the terrified, angry scream of a horse. 2 trucks appeared, moving slowly from the direction of the mountains. Between them, trapped, was Spirit. The horse was a storm of motion. He reared, his front hooves cutting the air. He spun and tried to run back, but a truck blocked him. His coat was dark with sweat and dust. Lucas could see the white flash on his forehead from here. The men pushed him down the hill toward a big, round wooden corral near the barn. A cowboy leaned out of a truck window and swung a long rope. It was not to catch him, just to scare him forward. Spirit lunged away from the rope, right into the open gate of the corral. A man slammed the gate shut. It was done. Lucas moved without thinking. He crawled along the fence line, closer to the barn. He could see everything now. Inside the corral, Spirit was a wild thing. He ran in frantic circles, kicking at the solid wooden walls. The sound of his hooves was like thunder. He slammed his shoulder into a post. The whole corral shook. Hank Dawson stood outside the fence with 2 other cowboys. They watched, their faces hard. "Look at that devil fight," one cowboy said, laughing a nervous laugh. "He's all fire and muscle," said the other. "He'll fetch a fine price once he's saddle broke." Hank nodded, his arms crossed. "We'll give him today to wear himself out. Tomorrow we start." Spirit did not wear himself out. His fear gave him endless energy. He charged the fence where the men stood. They jumped back. Hank's face changed from tough to angry. "Stupid animal," Hank yelled. He grabbed a red bandana from his pocket and waved it at the fence. "You'll learn." The flash of red color made Spirit scream. He reared up, higher than before, his eyes showing white all around. He came down with a crash and spun, confused and more terrified than ever. Something broke inside Lucas. The laughing men, the waving red cloth, Spirit's pure, beautiful terror. He stood up. He climbed the wooden fence of the corral. "Hey!" a cowboy shouted. "Kid, get down from there!" Hank turned. His eyes went wide with shock. "You, get off my property! Get down now!" Lucas did not listen. He looked at the horse, not at the men. He sat on the top rail and slowly, carefully, took off his shoes and socks. He let them fall to the dirt outside the corral. The cool morning air touched his bare feet. "What is he doing?" one cowboy muttered. Lucas swung his legs over and dropped inside the corral. The gasps from the men were loud. Spirit saw the movement and whirled around. He pinned his ears flat against his head. He snorted, a loud, wet, dangerous sound. He reared again, his massive hooves hovering in the air near Lucas. Lucas froze. He did not run. He did not look away. He made himself very small and very still. "Kid, get out of there," Hank roared, his voice tight with fear. "He'll kill you." Lucas took a slow breath. He looked up at the powerful horse blocking the sun. He did not raise his hands. He did not speak loud. "It's okay," Lucas whispered so softly only the horse could hear. "I'm not like them. I won't hurt you." Spirit's front legs slammed back to the earth. Dust clouded around them. He stamped the ground. He shook his head, his mane flying. He took one stiff step toward Lucas. The men outside were completely silent now. Lucas took one small step forward, then another. He kept his eyes on the ground near Spirit's feet, not on his face. He held out his hand, palm down, fingers relaxed. Spirit stretched his neck. His nostrils flared, sniffing the air loudly. He took another step. The distance between them closed. Lucas could feel the heat coming off the horse's wet coat. He could smell the dust and fear. Spirit's nose touched the back of Lucas's hand. It was a soft, warm, wet touch. The horse sniffed his fingers, his wrist, his arm. Lucas did not move. Then, slowly, Spirit lowered his head. He let out a long, slow breath that ruffled Lucas's shirt. Very carefully, Lucas turned around. He did not look back at the horse. He looked at the gate, 20 steps away. He started to walk. His bare feet made no sound in the dirt. 1 step. 2. He heard a movement behind him, a soft hoof fall. He kept walking. Another step followed his, then another. Lucas reached the gate. He stopped. He heard the sound of breathing right behind him. He turned his head just enough to see. Spirit stood there, his head lowered, his nose almost touching Lucas's shoulder. He was following him. From outside the fence, Hank Dawson whispered a single word, full of disbelief. How? For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sounds were Spirit's breathing and the distant cry of a crow. Hank Dawson finally moved. He walked slowly to the gate, his eyes fixed on the boy and the horse standing together. He unlatched the gate and pushed it open, just wide enough. "Come on out of there, son," Hank said. His voice was not a yell anymore. It was low and careful. Lucas looked at Spirit. He took a small step forward through the gate. Spirit followed him, stepping out of the corral and into the wide yard. The cowboys stumbled back, giving them space. Hank closed the gate and latched it. He looked from Lucas to the horse, who now stood quietly behind the boy. "What's your name?" Hank asked. "Lucas. Lucas Carter. You live in town, above the diner?" Lucas nodded. Hank rubbed his jaw, thinking hard. "You got away with him, Lucas Carter. I've never seen anything like it." A new light came into his eyes, a calculating one. "That way, that's worth something. A lot." One of the cowboys stepped up. "Boss, that horse just walked out for him. Think of the show we could put on. The wild horse and the boy who tamed him. The crowds in Cheyenne would go wild." Hank nodded slowly. "Yes, they would." He looked at Lucas. "You can come see him. Every day. You can be friends with him. Get him used to people." "I don't want to get him used to people," Lucas said quietly. "I just want him to be okay." "He will be," Hank said. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. "We'll make him a star. You'll help. It'll be good for everyone." From around the corner of the barn, Maya appeared. She had seen everything. Her eyes were wide as she looked at Spirit, then at Lucas. She didn't say a word. That afternoon, Lucas came back. He climbed the corral fence and sat on the top rail. Spirit was alone inside. He stood in the middle, not running anymore. He looked at Lucas. Lucas did not go in. He just sat and watched. After a while, he took out his sketch pad and started to draw. Maya walked over. She held out a metal cup of water. "For you," she said. "It's hot." Lucas took it. "Thank you." She leaned on the fence next to him. "I'm Maya. That's my dad." "I know." They watched Spirit in silence. "Why did you do it?" Maya asked. "Go in there?" Lucas thought about it. He was scared. They were laughing. It wasn't fair. Maya nodded like that was a perfect answer. "My dad's not all bad. He's just worried. The ranch is struggling. He thinks that horse is the answer." "He's not an answer," Lucas said, looking at Spirit. "He's a horse." After that, Lucas came every day after school. He would sit on the fence. Sometimes he would slip inside the corral and just sit in the dirt. He would talk, but not much. He would tell Spirit about his mom working 2 jobs, about the kids at school, about the big mountains. Spirit would listen. He would come closer. He would eat apples from Lucas's flat palm. He would let Lucas touch his neck, slowly, gently. Maya was always nearby. She brought water. She brought brushes and showed Lucas how to brush Spirit's coat where he couldn't reach to itch. She became Lucas's only friend. One day, while brushing Spirit, Maya said, "My mom loved horses. She died 5 years ago. Sickness. Dad doesn't talk about her much. He just works." Lucas stopped brushing. "My dad left before we moved here. He just drove away one day. Mom doesn't talk about him either." They looked at each other, and an understanding passed between them. They were different, but the same in the ways that hurt. Hank watched them from his porch. He saw the horse calm with the boy. He saw his daughter smile for the first time in months. He saw a business opportunity growing tamer every day. 2 weeks after Lucas first walked into the corral, Hank decided it was time. He walked to the barn and came out carrying a heavy leather saddle. He walked toward the corral where Lucas and Maya were sitting with Spirit. Spirit saw the saddle first. He let out a sharp snort and backed away to the far side of the corral. Lucas stood up. "What are you doing?" "It's time, son," Hank said, his voice cheerful but firm. "He trusts you. You're going to put this saddle on him. Just let him get used to the weight. Then in a few days you'll get on." "No," Lucas said. The word was small but clear. Hank's smile faded. "What do you mean, no? This is the plan, Lucas. The rodeo in Cheyenne is in 3 weeks. He needs to be ready." "He'll never be ready for that," Maya said, jumping down from the fence. "Can't you see? He's calm with Lucas because Lucas doesn't want anything from him. A saddle is just another rope to him." "This isn't a game, Maya," Hank's temper flared. "This is about this ranch's future. That horse is worth more saddled than he is wild. Lucas, take the saddle." Hank pushed the heavy saddle through the fence rails. It landed in the dirt with a thud. Lucas looked at the saddle. He looked at Spirit, who was pacing nervously, his eyes on the strange leather thing. He looked back at Hank. "I won't do it," Lucas said. "If you make me, he'll never trust me again. He might never trust anyone again." Hank's face turned red. He pointed a rough finger at Lucas. "You listen here, boy. That horse is my property. You are a guest on my land. You will help me get him ready for Cheyenne, or you will not set foot on this ranch again. Do you understand?" The ultimatum hung in the air. Lucas felt the world shrink to the size of the corral, to Spirit's fearful eyes, to the heavy, terrible saddle in the dirt. He understood. Lucas did not go back to the ranch the next day. He stayed in the apartment, his sketch pad open on his knees. But he wasn't drawing. He was thinking. He thought about the noise of the rodeo, the bright lights, the thousands of shouting people. He thought about Spirit trapped in a tiny metal chute with that red bandana flashing, with a heavy saddle on his back. He thought about the horse's trust shattering into a million pieces of fear. His mother came home between her 2 jobs. She sat next to him on the couch. "You're quiet," she said. "Is it about the horse? I heard some talk at the diner." "Hank Dawson's wild horse." Lucas nodded, his throat tight. "Sometimes," his mother said softly, "we want to protect something so much it hurts. But we can't control everything, honey. It's his horse." "He's not a thing," Lucas whispered. "He's Spirit." His mother hugged him. She felt tired and thin. Lucas hugged her back, and the plan solidified in his mind. He had to protect Spirit, and he had to do it alone. He could not be a burden to her, not anymore. That evening, he packed a small backpack, a bottle of water, an apple, his sketch pad, a flashlight, an old blanket. He hid it under his bed. The next morning he went to school. He felt like he was in a dream. After school, he did not go home. He walked to the edge of town, to a big old tree by the river. He waited. Maya found him there an hour later. She looked upset. "My dad thinks you're just being stubborn," she said, dropping her bike on the grass. "He says you'll come around. He's already ordered special tack for the rodeo." Lucas looked at the flowing water. "I'm not coming around." "What are you going to do then?" Maya asked. She studied his face. "Lucas, what are you going to do?" He knew he shouldn't tell her. It was his secret, his problem. But the words came out. "I'm going to take him away. Tonight. To the mountains where he came from, where they won't find him." Maya's mouth fell open. Then she shook her head. "You'll get lost. The Thunderhead Range is huge. There are cougars and cliffs and no trails." "He knows the trails," Lucas said. "I'll just follow him." "That's the craziest thing I've ever heard," Maya said. But her eyes were bright, not with fear, but with a fierce light. "You'll need help. You need someone who knows the first part of the way, to get past the ranch and up the first canyon without being seen." "No," Lucas said quickly. "You can't. It's my plan. If we get caught, it's my fault. If you go alone, you will get caught, or lost, or worse," Maya insisted. She put her hands on her hips. "I know the back way, the old logging road. No one uses it. We can get him into the high country by morning. My dad would never look for us up there." "Us?" Lucas said. "I'm coming with you," Maya stated, as if it were as simple as choosing what to eat. "He's not just your friend. He shouldn't be in a rodeo. And I know the land, so we go together. Tonight." Lucas wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her face. He needed her. "Your dad will be so angry." "He's already angry," Maya said. "Meet me at the south fence line, behind the big hay barn, when the moon is high. Bring your stuff. I'll bring food and a real map. That night, Lucas waited until his mother was asleep. He wrote her a note. It said, "I'm safe. I had to help a friend. I'm so sorry. Don't worry. I love you." He left it on his pillow. He shouldered his small backpack and crept out into the cool, dark night. The moon was a bright sliver in the sky. He found the spot behind the hay barn. Maya was already there, a larger pack on her back. She nodded, her face serious. Together they moved like shadows to the corral. Spirit was awake. He stood in the moonlight, ears pricked forward. He saw Lucas and gave a soft, low nicker. Lucas unlatched the gate. He did not need a rope. He simply walked in and touched Spirit's neck. "We're going home," he whispered. "Come on." He turned and walked out of the corral. Spirit followed. Maya fell into step beside Lucas, and the three of them melted into the darkness behind the barn, heading for the black outline of the mountains. They did not see Hank Dawson standing in the dark window of the ranch house. He had heard a strange sound. He saw the empty corral. His heart stopped. He pulled on his boots and ran outside, his flashlight beam cutting through the night. The corral gate swung open. The horse was gone. Hank's first furious thought was of thieves. Then his light fell on the dirt just inside the gate, a piece of paper weighted down by a small rock. He picked it up. It was a drawing. A beautiful, careful drawing of the blue roan horse running free across a field. At the bottom, in small letters, it said, "Spirit." Hank knew that drawing. He had seen the boy with the sketch pad. His anger turned to cold, hard fear. This wasn't thieves. This was the boy. And if the boy had the horse, his eyes shot to the dark mountains. His daughter's bedroom was empty, her bed neatly made, untouched. "Maya," he breathed. He ran back to the house, his hands shaking. He picked up the old telephone and dialed the number for the sheriff. The old logging road was steep and covered in loose stones. Lucas's feet, even in his worn sneakers, slipped. Spirit walked steadily behind him, his head low, his ears constantly moving. Maya led the way, her flashlight beam pointing at the ground. They walked for hours. The sounds of the ranch faded away. Now there were only night sounds, the rustle of small animals, the whisper of wind in the pines, the distant call of an owl. "Here," Maya whispered, stopping at a fast-moving stream. "We follow this water up. It comes from a spring high up. It's a good guide." They drank the cold, clean water. Spirit drank deeply. Lucas sat on a rock, his legs aching. "Are you scared?" Maya asked, sitting next to him. "Yes," Lucas said. "Are you?" "A little," Maya admitted. "But it feels right. This is where he belongs." She looked at Spirit, who was sniffing the air. "He knows we're helping him." As the sky began to lighten from black to deep blue, they left the stream and entered a thick forest. The trees were tall and close together. It was dark and quiet. Suddenly, Spirit stopped. He planted his feet and let out a sharp, loud snort. He pushed his head between Lucas and Maya, forcing them back a step. "What is it?" Lucas whispered. Maya froze. "Be still." A low growl rumbled from the bushes ahead. Two yellow eyes gleamed in the shadows. A mountain lion, sleek and powerful, stood on a rock, watching them. Lucas's blood turned to ice. He held his breath. Spirit did not run. He stepped forward, putting his whole body between the children and the big cat. He stamped his front hoof hard on the rocky ground. Asterisk crunch. Asterisk. Then he reared up, not high, but enough to make himself look huge. He gave a fierce, challenging scream. The mountain lion stared. It looked from the big horse to the two small humans. It hesitated. Then silently, it turned and vanished into the forest. Spirit lowered himself. He blew out a long breath, his sides heaving. Maya let out a shaky breath she'd been holding. "He protected us." Lucas walked forward and pressed his face against Spirit's sweaty neck. "Thank you," he whispered. When the sun was fully up, they found a small meadow filled with soft grass. They were exhausted. They ate some of the nuts and berries Maya had packed. Lucas's feet were sore and blistered. Maya saw him wince. "Let me see," she said. She helped him take off his shoes. His socks were worn thin. "You need better boots." "My mom can't afford them right now," Lucas said quietly, pulling his feet away. Maya didn't say anything. She just tore a strip from the bottom of her own shirt. "Here, wrap this around the worst parts. It'll help." As they rested, they talked. My mom is going to be so worried, Lucas said, his stomach hurting with guilt. I left a note, but it's not enough. My dad is probably really mad, Maya said. She hugged her knees. But he's more mad about the horse being gone than about me being gone, I think. That's not true, Lucas said. How do you know? Maya asked, her voice small. Because when he saw you were gone, Lucas said, remembering Hank's face in the window. He looked scared, not mad, scared. Maya thought about that. She changed the subject. Why do you take your shoes off sometimes? Lucas looked at his bare, wrapped feet. It helps me think. It makes me feel connected, like I'm not floating away. Maya nodded as if that made perfect sense. They walked for 2 more days. Spirit led them to hidden springs. Maya knew which plants were safe to eat. They slept under pine trees, huddled together for warmth, with Spirit standing watch nearby. On the 3rd afternoon, they pushed through a narrow pass between 2 tall rocks. The view opened up. Below them was a valley. It was a perfect green bowl surrounded by high cliffs. A small lake sparkled in the center. Wildflowers dotted the grass. It was completely hidden from the world below. It's perfect, Lucas breathed. It's safe, Maya agreed, smiling for the first time in days. No one will ever find him here. They climbed down into the valley. Spirit immediately dropped his head and began to graze on the rich grass. He rolled in the meadow, kicking his legs in the air. He was home. Lucas felt a huge weight lift from his shoulders. They had done it. Spirit was free. He sat by the lake, soaking his sore feet in the cold water. Maya lay in the grass nearby. For a little while, everything was peaceful. Then Lucas smelled something strange, a sharp, bitter smell. He looked up. Maya sat up too. Do you smell that? Lucas looked toward the west, back the way they had come. Far in the distance, beyond the ridges of the Thunderhead Range, a thick, gray-brown plume of smoke was rising into the clear blue sky. It was not the thin smoke of a campfire. It was a wide, dark, spreading stain. What is that? Lucas asked, his heart starting to pound again. Maya stood up, her face pale. That's a forest fire. The smell got stronger. The plume of smoke grew wider, staining the blue sky. The wind is blowing from the west, Maya said, her voice tight. It's blowing the fire this way, toward town, toward us. They watched in silence. The peaceful valley no longer felt safe. It felt like a bowl that could fill with smoke. Down in Painted Rock, the first signs of trouble were the ashes. Tiny gray flakes drifted down from the sky like dirty snow. Hank Dawson was in the town square, helping an older neighbor load a suitcase into a car. The sheriff's truck, its lights flashing, drove slowly down Main Street. A loudspeaker on the truck crackled. Attention! A wildfire is burning in the Thunderhead Range. The wind is pushing it east. All residents on the west side of town prepare to evacuate. Do not panic. Proceed calmly. People came out of the diner, the post office, the grocery store. They looked at the smoky sky. They started talking fast, their voices rising. Hank's hands stopped moving. He looked past the town, to the mountains where his daughter and that boy had gone, where the fire was now. Sheriff Miller walked up to him. Hank, you seen those kids? Any sign? No, Hank said, the word rough in his throat. No sign. They're up there, Tom, right in the path of it. The sheriff put a hand on Hank's shoulder. We've got search teams ready, but with the fire spreading so fast, we can't send men up there. It's too dangerous. They're just kids, Hank said, his fear turning to anger. I know, the sheriff said calmly. We'll do everything we can from this side, but you need to get your things. Your ranch is right in the line of it. Hank looked at his ranch on the edge of town. He thought of his wife's roses by the porch, the big barn his father built. Then he thought of Maya's face, stubborn and brave. He thought of the small boy standing fearlessly in front of the wild horse. Forget my things, Hank said. He turned to the neighbor. You got everything? Good, get going. He looked back at the sheriff. What can I do to help here? Back in the hidden valley, the air changed. It became hot and dry. The clear sky turned a strange orange color. The sun was a dull red ball. Lucas and Maya climbed to the highest point of the valley, a flat rock. They could see more now. A wall of orange and red was eating the forest on the far ridge. The sound was a low, constant roar, like a train that never passed. The fire is at the top of the ridge, Maya said. She pointed with a shaking hand. There's only one way out of this valley, the pass we came through. The fire is going to come right over that ridge and down into this bowl." They were trapped. The cliffs around them were too steep to climb. The only exit was a path that would soon be filled with flames. They ran back down to the meadow. Spirit was nervous. He paced near the lake, his head high, snorting at the smoky air. The other wild horses that lived in the valley were running in confused circles. "What do we do?" Lucas asked. His heart pounded against his ribs. "I don't know," Maya whispered, her bravado gone. "I don't know any other way out." They huddled together by the lake, watching the orange glow grow brighter. The roar grew louder. The air became thick and hard to breathe, full of floating ash. Lucas coughed. He looked at Spirit. The horse was not running anymore. He was standing still, his ears pointed toward the rocky wall at the back of the valley. He was sniffing the wind, his nostrils flaring. "He knows something," Lucas said. "He's just scared," Maya said, her eyes watering from the smoke. "No," Lucas said. He remembered. Spirit knew these mountains. He was born here. He remembered old paths, trails no human knew. A terrible, wild hope sparked inside Lucas. He stood up and walked to Spirit. He put his hands on either side of the horse's face, making Spirit look at him. "Spirit," Lucas said, his voice calm and clear, even though he was trembling. "We need to get out, Maya and me. You need to get out too. You know the way. Please, show us the way." Spirit looked deep into Lucas's eyes. He blew warm air onto Lucas's cheek. He pulled his head back and stamped his front hoof on the ground, once, twice. Then he turned. He did not head for the burning pass. He started walking straight toward the solid rocky wall at the back of the valley. "Spirit, wait!" Maya cried, coughing. "That's just a wall." But Spirit did not stop. He walked right up to the cliff face, where a curtain of thick, old ivy hung down. He pushed his nose into the ivy and snorted, blowing the leaves aside. Lucas ran after him, Maya close behind. As Spirit pushed through the ivy, they saw it was not solid rock behind it. It was a dark, narrow opening, just wide enough for a horse. "A cave?" Maya whispered. Spirit disappeared inside. Lucas, without thinking, grabbed Maya's hand and followed him into the darkness. Inside, it was cool and quiet. The roar of the fire was muffled. A little light came from the entrance, showing a rough tunnel that sloped downward. It was not a cave made by water. It was a passage through the rock, worn by animals over thousands of years. "It's a trail," Lucas said, his voice full of awe. "A secret trail." Spirit moved with confidence in the dark. Lucas and Maya stayed close, their hands on his sides to guide them. They walked and walked, the tunnel twisting and turning, always going down. After what felt like a long time, they saw a bright spot ahead. Fresh air, less smoky, brushed their faces. They hurried toward it. The tunnel ended on a high, rocky ledge on the other side of the mountain ridge. They were out of the valley. Below them, they could see the fire raging on the other side of the mountain. But here, the air was clearer. But they were not safe yet. They were high up on a steep, rocky slope with no clear path down. Spirit stepped to the edge of the ledge. He lifted his head high and let out a sound. It was not a scream of fear. It was a loud, clear, ringing call, a call that echoed off the stone walls around them. He called again. From below, an answer came, then another, then 5 more. From hidden folds in the mountain, from stands of trees untouched by fire, other wild horses appeared. They were brown and gray and black. They heard Spirit's call and came running. Soon, a small herd of 10 horses stood on the slope below them, looking up. "He's calling his herd," Maya said, understanding dawning on her face. Spirit looked back at Lucas and Maya. He nodded his head toward the slope, as if to say, "*Follow me." Then he started down. It was not a path people would ever use. It was a series of ledges, narrow washes, and loose shale. But Spirit walked it sure-footedly. The other horses fell in behind him, forming a living chain down the mountainside. Lucas and Maya scrambled after them. They slid on the loose rocks. They used tree roots to pull themselves along. It was hard and scary, but they were moving. They were going down, away from the fire. The horses knew exactly where to step. They moved as one animal, Spirit at the front. Lucas and Maya stayed in the middle of the herd, the horses surrounding them, guiding them, protecting them from slipping off the edge. The world became a blur of dust and horse legs and the smell of sweat and fear. Lucas's lungs burned, his feet screamed in his shoes, but he kept his eyes on Spirit's dusty blue rump, and he kept moving. They moved faster and faster as the slope became gentler. They left the bare rock and entered a burnt forest. The ground was black and smoking. The fire had already passed through here and moved on. It was eerie and quiet. Spirit did not stop. He led the herd through the charcoal trees onto a narrow game trail that followed a dry creek bed. They were running now, a river of horses flowing downhill. Lucas and Maya ran with them, their legs pumping, carried along by the energy and purpose of the herd. Finally, the trees thinned. They burst out of the forest onto open land, green land. They could see the town of painted rock in the distance, with the red and blue lights of emergency vehicles flashing. A river snaked between the town and the mountains, and on this side of the river, the land was green and safe. The fire had stopped at the water's edge. Spirit slowed to a walk. The herd slowed behind him. They were all breathing hard, steam rising from their wet coats in the cool evening air. Lucas and Maya stumbled to a stop, clutching each other for support. They looked back. The mountains were crowned with a terrifying crown of orange fire and black smoke. They looked forward. They were safe. The town was just ahead, and they were not alone. They were standing in the middle of a herd of wild, free horses with Spirit at their head. People on the edge of town saw them first. A woman pointing from her porch, a man stopping his truck in the middle of the road. "Look, up there, on the ridge. Is that horses? A whole herd of them. And are those kids with them?" The word spread faster than the fire had. People came out of their houses, away from their packed cars. They stood in the street, staring at the amazing sight on the green ridge. A line of wild horses, led by the legendary Blue Roan, and two small, dusty figures walking among them. Sheriff Miller grabbed his binoculars. He looked, then lowered them, his mouth open. "Hank, you need to see this." Hank Dawson took the binoculars. His hands were shaking so badly he could hardly hold them steady. He scanned the ridge. He saw the horses. Then he saw a flash of a messy brown braid. "Maya," he choked out. He saw the smaller figure next to her. Lucas. They were alive. They were walking out of the fire zone, surrounded by horses. Hank didn't think. He just ran. He ran past the sheriff's truck, past the people, across the open field toward the ridge. Other men, seeing him, ran after him. On the ridge, Maya saw the people running toward them. She saw her dad in front, his hat gone, his arms pumping. "Dad!" she yelled, her voice cracking. Lucas saw his mother. She was standing at the very front of the crowd in town, one hand over her mouth. Even from this far, he could see she was crying. Spirit stopped walking. The herd stopped with him. They had delivered the children to the edge of the human world. Their job was done. Hank reached them first. He skidded to a stop, his chest heaving. He looked at Maya, her face smudged with soot, her hair full of twigs. He looked at Lucas, his clothes torn, his feet wrapped in rags. He did not yell. He opened his arms. Maya ran into them. Hank crushed her to his chest, burying his face in her hair. His shoulders shook. He was crying. After a long moment, he let go of Maya. He turned to Lucas. He knelt down in the grass so he was at the boy's level. His eyes were red. "Lucas," Hank said, his voice rough with emotion. "I am so sorry. I was wrong. About everything. About the horse. About you." He looked over at Spirit, who watched him calmly. "You saved my girl. You saved them all." Lucas didn't know what to say. He just nodded. Mayor Clayton, a tall man in a clean shirt, had walked up with the sheriff. He looked at the herd of wild horses, still standing proudly on the ridge. He looked at the two tired children and the weeping rancher. He looked back at the town, which had been saved because the river stopped the fire. "Hank," Mayor Clayton said quietly, "I came here tonight to finally get you to sign the papers, to sell your ranch land to the development company. I thought it was progress." He paused, watching the wild horses begin to turn, heading back toward the untouched parts of the mountain. "I was wrong too." Hank stood up, keeping a hand on Maya's shoulder. "What are you saying, Clayton?" "I'm saying that some things are worth more than money," the mayor said, loud enough for the gathering crowd to hear. "That land, those mountains, they protect us. And what lives there?" He nodded towards Spirit, who was still standing with Lucas. is part of who we are. No deal, Hank. The land should stay as it is. A cheer went up from the townspeople. It was a soft cheer, tired from fear but full of relief and happiness. Hank looked at Mayor Clayton, surprised. Then he nodded. He turned back to Spirit. He walked slowly toward the horse. Spirit watched him but did not move away. Hank reached out a hand, not to grab, but to offer. Spirit sniffed it. Hank then did something he hadn't done since he was a boy. He gently touched the horse's neck. "You're free," Hank said to Spirit, his voice firm and clear. "No ropes, no corrals, no rodeos, ever again." He looked at Lucas. "And you, Lucas Carter, you're his guardian, his friend. You come and go on my ranch as you please. It's his home, as much as it is mine." Spirit let out a soft snort. He nudged Lucas with his head as if to say, "Asterisk, you hear that?" Lucas felt a smile break across his face, a real, true smile that reached his eyes for the first time in a long time. His mother finally reached him, pushing through the crowd. She dropped to her knees and hugged him so tight he could hardly breathe. "Never, ever scare me like that again," she whispered, crying into his hair. "I won't, Mom," he whispered back. "I promise." As the sun set, painting the sky in peaceful colors of purple and gold, the people of Painted Rock watched the wild herd disappear back into the safe shadows of the mountains. Only one horse stayed behind. Spirit stood next to Lucas, his head lowered, content. He was free, and he had chosen to stay. The next morning, the sun rose over a changed Painted Rock. The air still smelled of smoke, but the danger had passed. The river had stopped the fire. Lucas woke up in his own bed. For the first time, he did not feel the heavy weight of loneliness as soon as he opened his eyes. He heard his mother humming in the kitchen. He got dressed and went downstairs. His mother turned from the stove. She had a day off from both jobs. "Good morning," she said, smiling. "Someone left a package for you on the porch." Lucas went to the door. On the step was a box. He opened it. Inside was a pair of strong brown leather boots. They were just his size. A note was tucked inside. It said, "For walking the land, Hank." Lucas put them on. They felt solid and good on his feet. "Are you going to the ranch today?" his mother asked. "Yes," Lucas said. "Spirit will be waiting." When he arrived at the broken spur, things looked different. The corral gate was wide open, never to be closed again. Hank Dawson was on the porch, drinking coffee. He saw Lucas and nodded. Maya ran out of the barn. "You're here, come see." She led him inside the big barn. Hank followed them slowly. In one of the spacious stalls, Spirit stood, chewing on some hay. He lifted his head when Lucas entered. "He came in on his own last night," Maya said, her voice full of wonder. "Just walked right into the barn and picked this stall." "He knows he's safe here," Hank said from the doorway. His voice was different, softer. This is his home, whenever he wants it. Later that morning, a truck pulled up. A woman from town got out with her 2 young children, a boy and a girl. They looked shy. Hank walked over to them. "Welcome," he said. "We heard," the woman said, "that you're letting kids learn about horses now, the right way." "That's the plan," Hank said. He looked at Lucas and Maya. "These 2 are my head instructors." Lucas's eyes went wide. Hank continued. "We're not breaking horses here anymore. We're listening to them. Lucas, why don't you show them?" Lucas felt nervous with the new people watching. He looked at Maya. She grinned and nudged him forward. Lucas walked into Spirit's stall. He did not have a rope or a brush. He just stood there. Spirit walked over and put his head against Lucas's chest. Lucas whispered something to him, then turned and walked out of the stall. Spirit followed him, step for step, out into the bright morning sun. The 2 town children gasped. Their mother smiled. "How does he do that?" the little girl asked. "He listens," Maya answered for him. "And he's their friend. That's the first lesson." The days turned into weeks. The ranch slowly changed. Hank fixed the fences, but he also built a small covered area with benches. A sign went up by the main gate. * Broken Spur, Sanctuary Learning Center. Kids from town started coming after school. Lucas and Maya showed them how to approach a horse calmly, how to offer an open hand, how to understand what a flick of an ear or a swish of a tail meant. One afternoon, Lucas was showing a boy how to brush a gentle old mare. Hank walked up and watched. "You're a natural teacher, Lucas," Hank said when the boy left. Lucas shrugged. I just remember how scared I was, and how scared Spirit was. Hank nodded. He looked out at his land. I was so busy trying to save this place, I forgot what made it worth saving. You and that horse reminded me. He put a hand on Lucas's shoulder. Your mom told me you like to draw. I've got an old storage room in the barn, lots of light. It could be a good place for an art studio. For you. Lucas didn't know what to say. Thank you, he finally whispered. That evening, as the sun set, Lucas sat on the top fence rail. Spirit grazed nearby in the open field. He was free to go to the mountains any time, but he often chose to stay close. Maya climbed up and sat next to him. Not bad for a lonely new kid, she said, bumping his shoulder with hers. Lucas smiled. He looked at his friend Maya. He looked at Spirit. He looked at the porch where Hank and his mother were talking and laughing over cups of coffee. He wasn't lonely anymore. He had a friend. He had a whole town that knew his name for a good reason. He had a purpose. Spirit lifted his head from the grass and walked over to the fence. He stood beside them, a calm, strong presence. Lucas reached down and touched the horse's neck. He didn't need a saddle or reins. He didn't need to be anywhere else. He was home.